I'm Lisa Buddecke. My husband and I, Dave, own Second South Market in Twin Falls. Welcome to Second South, the first food hall in Idaho. So what was interesting is our family went to Denver, it's been about 4 years ago in the summer, and for vacation, and my husband went looking for something, and he couldn't find it, but he kept running into this out to this large building, and it ended up being Denver Central Market. It was a food hall, and he'd never seen anything like it before. We hadn't ever seen really a food hall before. And so he was fascinated with it and spent time in there, and they had a lot of different vendors. They had chocolatiers, they had bread making, they had a TV on, they watched some golf, he got a beer. And so he took myself and our daughters back the next day, and we were just floored by it. And it was such a fun experience and so different. So he thought, wouldn't this be so cool if we could do something like this in Twin Falls? And we said, well, yeah, we just let it go. But in the back of his mind, he knew that this was something he really wanted to make happen. So this building went on sale. When it went on sale, he looked at it. And at the time, it was owned by the Salvation Army. They were moving out of it. And it had these low white ceilings and just lighting, and that was really all it is. It was just a wide open space. So he ended up wanting this building because we have as much space, even larger in the outside area, which is what he was really interested in, to do something outside. So he thought this would be the ideal environment for a food hall because it's a wide open space, it's on a single story. Some of the food halls have, they're a little awkward as far as that, but this was just one big square building and this large outdoors on the same level. So we ended up purchasing this building. It's in an opportunity zone, which was really important to us. At the time, we didn't really realize it was in an opportunity zone until we did some research and found out. And it was a huge advantage from a tax standpoint for us. So it really kind of solidified the deal for us because it really was a financial benefit to be in an opportunity zone. So we bought the building, and he worked with the Smoky Bone, which is right behind us, a barbecue place. He has a very popular spot. It was about a mile from here. Very small, and he was kind of our anchor tenant. He went to him and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and he said, I'm in. So he was our anchor tenant basically. So we worked together. They started tearing the building apart. We really didn't know what we were looking at. We knew it was a very secure building. It's made of concrete. It was curious, within the day or two after purchasing it, one of the contractors came to us and they said, hey, this building has a lot of history. Do you know about it? And I said, no, I don't. So I ended up going to the library, and they have an Idaho room, and I did some research, and the lady helped me, and we found out that this was built in 1926. It was Kringle's hardware store, but it was actually a machine company. It was Kringle's Machining first, and then it became Kringle's Hardware. And they were Boilermakers, they were machinists, they did horseshoeing. They had a large operation in this building. This was built in 1926, but this land was occupied in 1907, also by Kringle. And they started with it's an old wooden building. We have pictures of it in the front of our entry. And so in 1907, this land was occupied by Kringle. Then they built this building in 1926. And over the years, I think when they sold it, I believe in the mid to late 70s to the Salvation Army, and they just didn't want to deal with the ceilings because they were dirty over the years with oil and machining and whatever it is they were doing in here. They were black. So they just put that low cover on it, and the ambient lighting that we didn't know it was even here until they started pulling it apart, and they said, you guys aren't going to believe this, So we kind of knew that there was wood up here, but we just didn't know what it looked like, but we had no idea about the lighting. So anyway, that's how really that beginning of the research on the history of the building actually sort of put us in that direction. We didn't know what we were going to do from a design standpoint, but when we found out about this history, we said, okay, we need to keep everything natural. We need to keep everything, we're not going to tear things out. We're going to keep this and pay homage to the history of this building. So that's really what we've done. So when we walk in, again, because there's so much history to the building, we have a history wall that kind of walks everyone through from 1907 to the current date. And we've also reused all the wood, almost all the wood that you see inside, as well as at all of our vendors. It's all repurposed. So we used all the wood that we tore out from the buildings, from the ceiling, and we repurposed it. So all this wood has been reused. And then they'll walk in and you'll see that it's a wide open seating area. A food hall is usually a very busy place, bustling with activity. It's not a quiet environment, really. We decided with our food hall, unlike some of the others where they're a little bit more fragmented with their vendors, they look like many that we went and saw around the country. They were segmented with higher walls, lots of ceilings. They each had maybe their own furniture. They had their own lighting. And so it was a little more hodgepodge. And so our vision was, you know what, we don't want that. We want to make this really look and feel like a family environment, but we all sort of belong together. We didn't want it cut up. So we worked really hard with our architect, who was Colby Ricks with Ricks Laughlin, and our amazing contractors, Nathan Bishop with Creative Carpentry and his partner Blaze. And we developed this vision with them about let's keep everything natural. We want to expose as much of the ceiling that we can. We want to, and even the HVAC guys were really careful about not going through the building to really hide it as best as they could, because we wanted, and we really worked well with the health department too, of keeping all of these spaces without overhangs, without ceilings. So we covered the wood with special clear coating to help it from it, and so the health department was very comfortable with that. So with that, then you walk in and you will see that we have 6 food vendors. They're all very different. They don't compete with each other. And then we have a beer wine bar. So we have barbecue, we have pizza, Italian, we have the bar, and we have Mexican food. We have Poke and Sushi Hut, which they poke bowls and sushi, and Cloverleaf ice cream, which is very popular ice cream, not only locally, but I think around the state. And then we have Full Steam Espresso, which is coffees and energy drinks and so forth. So you get a little bit of everything in here, and that's the purpose of a food hall. So you can bring in whoever you want in your family, and everybody can get sort of what they want. We have, the seating has been developed so that it can be changed and moved. People can put tables together, add chairs. So it's very flexible in regards to the seating, which is also sort of unique for a food hall. These tables, our contractor, Nathan and Blaze from Creative Carpentry, again, they worked on the demolition of the old Rogerson building, which was just over a block from here where the new city hall is. So they had some of this old wood left over from the Rogerson building, and he said, I will make you tables, and so we had to make tables. And some of the legs have old pipes that were found behind us in the other rooms, old heating pipes and things. He just cut them up and used them. Yeah, some of them have old pipes. So we have just a lot of fun stuff that's been reused throughout the building. In fact, one of the really cool things is right in this corner over here, there was a little area underneath the ground, and it was for Prohibition. They were hiding whiskey in there during Prohibition. So you'll see when people come in, they'll see some of the old whiskey bottles that we found during renovation. And there's some in the entryway, and there's also some highlighted up in the bar area. Even our restroom sign is made of all the old tools that we found. From it's on this other side over here, and there's horseshoes, all different types of tools that we found buried in the ground. So we just used everything that we could find. So the outside is even larger than the inside. It's 14,700 square feet outside. We have set that up so that the trucks are out there now. We're laying some concrete. There'll be concrete areas as well as areas with AstroTurf. We'll have a lot of picnic tables out there for extra seating. We have a small stage in the corner for musicians to come and play. We've built the overhang, and there's a little section underneath here where people can sit, and we'll have some more tables there. The bar and the Mexican have roll-up doors so that they'll be able to serve directly to the people outdoors, where you don't have to necessarily come inside. You need to get an extra beer or wine, you can do it directly from the outdoors. We'll have cornhole. It'll be dog friendly. We have 3 fire pits. And we'll have lighting and umbrellas initially, so it's going to be a really fun, we hope, outdoor area for people to just hang out. We'll have music, as you know, there's interest with bands, and we also have already scheduled some private events, some business events. We have a couple of reunions already scheduled, so they'll be able to rent out a certain space, and we'll kind of cordon them off with some just so they'll feel like they're in a special place where they won't have public access. So they'll have, the public will be around them, but they won't be interfered with people coming through their space. So it's going to be fun. We anticipate having that completed by the end of May. It was really about 14 months from purchase to opening. Even with COVID, we didn't really seem to have too much of a problem, because you have to remember at the time this was a wide open building of just concrete, and so. When everything was shut down, of course, the construction was one of the things that continued, and these guys were really grateful to still have a job. So they could work in different corners. They worked in this corner, and somebody worked in that corner, and they started working on the ceilings. And so we really sort of continued on our way without too much concern, although we did announce we were opening at the very end of February, and everything shut down that next week. So nothing like, getting out there with your message and getting all this great buzz, and then the country shuts down. Couldn't have expected that. So we just went dark while we just continued, and then we had our grand open. Well, we opened on New Year's Day, and it was sort of a rolling opening. We initially thought that, gosh, everybody needs to open all at the same time, and it didn't work. And it worked out better, because from a publicity standpoint, it was, so-and-so's opening next week, and in 2 weeks so-and-so's opening. And so it took about a month before everybody was fully open. Some of them were still working on space and getting permitting and so forth. So it worked out great. And so we were fully open by the 1st of February.
Do you have, I want to know, as far as the trades that came in to work on the building, who had the biggest list of to-dos? As far as who came in, I'm thinking carpentry maybe?
Well, the general contractors, a lot of it was carpentry.
Cleaning the ceiling.
Yeah, he found someone special to clean the ceiling, because they had to be very careful, since it's such old wood, to get the right grain, to make sure we didn't destroy the wood and interrupt it, since it was very dry, of course. So anyway, they did that, and they sealed it up, and we felt good about that. But I think, yes, most of it was just the general contracting and the build out of all the spaces, getting them, getting the structure correct, and reusing as much as we could with what we had. So that was, you're right, that's really the majority of it. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of lighting and electric too, and so that was a very big project with all the electricity.
I'm assuming you added the fire sprinkler.
We did have to add the fire sprinkler, and we did dig trenches in the floor when we were in construction to put all the piping. So that's all been covered up, so everything's underground. There's nothing scarier than seeing backhoes in here just ripping up your floor, but it had to be done.
Was it a concrete floor to begin with?
This floor was put in by the Salvation Army, probably. So this floor was here, and so we cleaned it and put a coating on it.
Right.
Yeah, we cleaned it up, so it's all here. But they were able to some of the the holes that we have are covered up by the vendors. But that was a smart thing. It was really a group effort with our contractors and the architect to get this place. And I think the architects were surprised too, because they had never done a food hall before. They didn't understand what we were saying. It was, wait, you're going to have one next to the other? Yeah, and there's no ceiling? Right. Okay. We decided to put electric at all these and all these pillars so that people could sit and work if they want, and people do, or they charge their phones while they're here. And it was funny because when we first bought the building, we saw these pillars and we're like, ugh, can we get rid of these pillars? And we said, no, they're holding up your roof. But they've actually turned out to be very useful. That's when we decided to put these high tops, to have a mix of high tops and regular tables. And these are very popular. People love to sit the high tops for whatever reason. It's a unique concept. It's the first in the state. It's the first in Twin Falls. So I think, I think we've kind of established something new for the people that they can enjoy, something that's unique.
My name's Travis Rothweiler. I'm the city manager for the city of Twin Falls. I'm responsible for the day-to-day operations, and it's important to know that Twin Falls is open for business. Yeah, so inside the city of Twin Falls, we're looking at a total record number of commercial building permits and expansions. We're also continuing to look at additional industrial recruitments that are moving forward, and so the combination of industrial projects that could range from anywhere between 25 up to 150 employees at a above market wage for our region. In addition to the number of retail stores that are looking at either taking over existing buildings or repurposing buildings that we have. It's a pretty exciting time in the downtown core area. I think that this is a great building that kind of illustrates when an individual walks into what was once an old thrift store and sees the possibilities of what it could be. I mean, this is probably one of the most active spaces that we have inside of Twin Falls for the community. And it's just a great another asset that we have. We're looking at taking this urban renewal and wrapping it up, so we will close this one. And then starting next week, we're working with the Urban Renewal Board on a visioning process as to what is the next geographic area for that urban renewal tool. It is really the only tool that we have to help spark and incentivize growth and development by offsetting the cost of public infrastructure, to help with the revitalizations and projects like this. Well, so in all honesty, I didn't know what it was going to be. So when they said it's going to be a food hall and a food court, I had this vision of like an old school type cafeteria, if you will. I didn't know what that was going to be. And the moment I came in, it was packed. I mean, the energy that was being just driven off of this place is incredible. It is full. It is difficult to get a place to come and sit and congregate on the weekend, and as they're going to open up the backspace, it's going to allow for greater gathering for the community. It's going to be amazing. And so I think it really takes people like Lisa and Dave and their vision to say, here's something that we saw that's unique in a different area that we might be able to bring that thought and that concept to Twin Falls. They took an amazing chance to see if it was going to be successful. To my knowledge, this still remains the only food court in Idaho, certainly the only one in the Magic Valley, and it has been wildly popular, and they've hopefully been incredibly successful by their willingness to take a risk. I think that whenever you create a space with this much energy, there are more people that are going to be gravitating to those spaces, which is just going to continue that spin-off factor. When you add more and more business into a downtown core, it gives people many, many options. And so they can go to one space, and if that space may not be serving what they want to have, or maybe too full for what they're looking for, they can just go down the street. And so that foot traffic that's being able to generate by the work not only at this end of essentially the Main Avenue redevelopment project, although this is just one block off on Second, to the other projects that are occurring on Main Avenue as well, have just been great for the revitalization of our downtown effort. So inside of this area, we're because of where it stands economically, we also have new market tax credits that are available for very specific types of projects. And there's a series of financing that can be used and captured, and the city of Twin Falls has the ability to put people into contact for people with that. And then it's also within an opportunity zone, and being inside of an opportunity zone gives individuals the opportunity to get tax benefit by making investment. It's probably the simplest way to describe that. Because of the work that Lisa and Dave did on creating an opportunity zone, now we have professionals inside of Twin Falls that are well versed on opportunity zones. And so there's the professional legal and financial teams inside of Twin Falls that Lisa and Dave kind of help go through that process together. Now they're experienced and are able to help people navigate those complexities. You overlay that with an urban renewal agency that can assist with public infrastructure, and really we have three tools that for the right project could really offset those initial costs. We can leverage dollars to assist with minimizing that front end expense while you're waiting for that profitability to come. Twin Falls is continuing to experience significant growth. Based upon the number of single family permits that we could issue as well as the multifamily permits, we could be seeing growth in the area of 4.5% to 5%. The city of Twin Falls at 52,000 people right now also sees an influx of citizens that could be as much as 50 to 75,000 more people every single day. So every single day the city of Twin Falls at 52,000 is going to have the economic power of a community somewhere between 105 and 125,000 people. Supplying public services, making sure the roads are passable, that we have enough fire, police, public safety services, and then also looking at community amenities, making sure that as the communities come and congregate in Twin Falls, that we have opportunities and activities for them to engage in. So the creation of open space, the ability to create recreational opportunities, not only for the residents of Twin Falls, but also those who are going to be visiting over time is part of our overall strategy. I think that we're in a great space. Twin Falls is in the heart of the Magic Valley, and inside this area, we have so many amazing activities that people can participate in. We have immediate access to world-class ski resorts. We have immediate access to amazing stretches of the Murtaugh reach that you get Class 5 rapids if you want, and you can take an even more lazy, scenic stroll down the Snake as you kind of get a little bit further to the west. We have lots of mountain biking opportunities, lots of road biking opportunities. With the expansion of Chobani, with Cliff Bar, with the growing of Lamb Weston and Conagra and companies that have always been here, they're investing in activities, and so the Twin Falls Criterium is something that we're starting to move forward with. And so we're every year bringing professional cyclists into Twin Falls, into our downtown core, where we're looping and getting people introduced to the sport of cycling. And it's with the work that we're able to do to attract Cliff Bar, who then brings their passion for cycling and introduces that into a community. And working with many of the cycling shops in our area, it just creates more opportunity for people to engage in the sport, maybe invest in a bike if you can find one, right? Because that's a scarce resource. And just really be a part of a community and experience things that maybe previously they had no idea that was even available. This is a space that you probably would not find in a community similarly sized as Twin Falls. And when our citizens have the opportunity to engage and participate and experience something that may be typically reserved for a larger, more urban setting in their own backyard, I think it really has our citizens thinking about what are the possibilities. What can Twin Falls? Why must I always travel somewhere to experience? And now we're starting to have the same amazing things in Twin Falls. Float Magic right across is another great thing that is occurring in Twin Falls, very unique to the Magic Valley and maybe even unique to Idaho. But wildly successful, where individuals are saying and believing in Twin Falls. And what I say is it's the entrepreneurs that are betting on Twin Falls by taking some amazing risks that are atypical to what you're going to find in a city of 50,000 people. When the pandemic first began, we were deeply concerned about what it was going to do for our local economy. And we did experience about 3 to 4 weeks of really deep concern. And then we started to see the resilience that is Twin Falls. And people were doing the right things, but they were still continuing to engage. They were supporting local businesses that they were passionate about. I think that as the pandemic goes forward, Twin Falls has gotten stronger. I think that we as a community are really looking at the possibilities and really recognizing that we're resilient. And it really goes back to the roots that is Twin Falls. And so if you go back like 117 years to the time in which we're founding, this was no different than the scenery you see just right across the bridge, where it was lava, rock, and sagebrush. And you have people through ingenuity and the creation of a canal system and a lot of hard work by picking rock and moving sagebrush that turned it into some of the most amazing agricultural lands out there. And that's why Twin Falls and the Magic Valley remains America's most diverse food basket. I mean, if you take a look at foods that are produced throughout the Magic Valley, we rank in the top 3 in 19 different areas. And so the resiliency, I think, is just part of the DNA that's in Twin Falls citizens, and that really kind of says it's going to be okay. We've also seen a huge influx, as everyone else in Idaho has, of people wanting to have and share and participate in our way of life. And so what are the challenges? It's incumbent upon us in local government, especially in Twin Falls, to make sure that as we grow, that the things that are making us truly special and great aren't getting taken away. So we want food halls and we want great things, but we also want great neighborhoods in a small, close-knit community. And finding that balance is going to be part of the amazing challenges that we're going to have in local government.